from the point.
Great. I'll start sharing and then you can edit it a little bit.
All right, should be good to go.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our MyColores Chiapas info call. We're really excited for everyone to join us tonight. We're going to record this for anybody who can't join. I'm Kim Hunter, and Zachary Hunter is also on a Zoom with me in San Cristobal. I'm in Oaxaca. I'm going to kick it off to Zach to kind of give us an overview of Chiapas and give everybody a little more idea of where we're going to be in this week in the Mayan Highlands. And then I'll talk more about the trip and have Lissa talk as well.
Hey guys, yeah. So as Kim said, my name is Zach Hunter, half of the Fungivore. Really excited to be changing locales for this trip. Chiapas is a completely different, even though it's the neighbor of Oaxaca, it's a completely different state. But I thought I would talk a little bit about Mexico for those who aren't familiar with Mexico. You know, a lot of folks in the U.S. kind of think of Mexico as beaches, the border. Baja, Tijuana. That's kind of is kind of the extent. Now people are starting to hear more about Oaxaca for its culinary and destinations. But if you look here, Mexico is actually kind of a continuation of the Rocky Mountains and very little else. The beaches are often the beaches are right next to the giant towering mountains that shoot off right behind you. And a lot of what happens in Mexico happens here in the mountains. And that is obviously where we're finding a lot of the mushrooms and whatnot. So, Mexico itself is divided into 31 states plus the city, the Mexico City, which is its own jurisdiction. It used to be a federal district, but now it is its own. And we will be focusing on this bottommost state, all the way down here. I think you can see my cursor. That there is Chiapas. It's sort of carved out of Guatemala down here. Um, and it is one of the reasons that Mexico is a mega diverse country. And every year it is in the top five with Colombia, Brazil, and Peru, and Costa Rica, I believe. And part of that reason is Chiapas and Oaxaca here in southern Mexico both have everything from tropical all the way up to nearly alpine and everything in between. And so between those two states, they have something like 50% of Mexico's biodiversity. Mexico itself is a mega diverse country, has more pines in it than anywhere else, which for mushroom people is pretty darn important. Has a ton of reptiles as well, and is actually third in the world for the number of unique mammals here. If anyone has seen Oliver Sacks, who's got famous for being more of a brain doctor, actually wrote something called the Oaxaca Journal, in which he detailed all of the ferns of Oaxaca. And so Mexico has 10% of the world's ferns. And also has amphibians and a ton of birds as well. And a lot of that is concentrated here in southern Mexico in Chiapas. So Chiapas is, as I said, the southernmost state. You can see it here on the map of Mexico. It's actually a rather large state, similar to Oaxaca, one of the largest states. And it borders the Pacific Ocean right here, and then is landlocked, bordering with Guatemala, and then several states on the Gulf Coast of Mexico. And as a result of that, it has really unique topography. So what you're looking at up here, this is all limestone. And limestone is what was a coral reef back in the day. You may know the images from the Chinese paintings or from Thailand, where these very tall sort of mountains jutting right out of the water. That is limestone that's called karst. That is what most of the Chiapanecan highlands and the Mayan highlands are made of. And when you see all these wrinkles, that's because this mountain range came crashing up when the continents collided and ended up wrinkling all of this limestone into these really long, thin valleys with very steep mountains. And part of this is the Lancandon jungle. This is Palenque is up here, which is sort of the famous Mayan ruin. And we're going to be situated right up here. This from right here to right here is a 6,000 foot elevation climb. And what it actually
Wow.
is the old coral reef wall, whereas this was the bottom of the ocean. This would have been the edge of the coral reef, and this is the coral reef wall. It makes for some very, very interesting landscapes. Chiapas actually has, depending on who you ask, anywhere from 25% to 30% of all the water in Mexico. And we highly recommend sticking around, coming early or sticking around after to visit some of these sites. There's amazing vans and travel companies all over from San Cristobal that can take you to any of these places here. But yeah, it's a ton of caves and blue water and just incredible waterfalls and landscapes. And that means with water, there's a lot of mushrooms and biodiversity. These are all photos I've taken on our trips here. And yes, that is a pink chanterelle right in the middle of that. I believe that Ezekiel is going to save us some of those. I don't think it will be the season anymore. But those actually are tropical chanterelles that grow in the Tuxtla down in that the ocean floor part of this. And just the amount of things that you see while we're up in these mountains is stunning. Um, so the diversity in Chiapas, though, is maybe even more fascinating with the people. And from here, I wanted to kick it back to Kim because she's really made a study of the textiles and of the cultures that are here.
Thank you, Henny. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the culture of the Mayan Highlands. I think it's a really interesting place. The Mayan Highlands have a number of different indigenous groups, and the two primary villages just outside of San Cristobal are Zinacantan and Chamula. Those two indigenous communities both speak different dialects of Mayan and have existed since before the Spanish founded San Cristobal de las Casas 498 years ago. And so the woman on the upper right is from Chamula. You'll notice she's wearing a thick wool skirt. That's traditional, the traditional dress for that community. As well as below, you'll see the women in Zena Cantan on their market day with elaborate floral shawls that they're wearing. And we'll actually get the opportunity to visit both those villages when we're there. It's got a cosmology that it mixes both Catholicism as well as Mayan rituals. You'll see the candles and corn and other things, and we'll get a chance to kind of learn more about that while we're in San Cristobal. Zach? So this is just a quick shot of San Cristobal de las Casas. This is the sort of international indigenous village, I'd say, because it was founded 498 years ago by the Spanish, but it definitely has a mix of both of people who've been there in the city as well as those indigenous that interact every day and live in the city as well. It's surrounded by mountains. You'll actually see in the far right on this video here, Huitepec, which we'll be visiting one day, as well as some of the other parks. One of the things I love about San Cristobal is that we have access to several different parks for foraging, all within a 15 to 20-minute drive of the city. And so, Zach, if you want to go to the next one.
I was going to mention real quick. So what on the lower left-hand side, that is the Andador on the walking street. And San Cristobal is a very walking city. This is actually also the Andador on the top left from one of the best sunset views. But there are two walking streets that go north, south, and east, west that are always populated and almost always populated with like Spanish and local people as well. I'll just continue. That's all right. We actually there we had been told that we would maybe enjoy Chiapas if we came down here, and we were sort of determined to be in Oaxaca. And we moved to Oaxaca in March of actually 2022, so it'll be 4 years and just under 6 weeks that we've been in Mexico. And we ended up coming down to San Cristobal de las Casas for the first time for the National Conference of Mexican Mycologists. And it was a week long, and I would say it is the most academic thing that I've ever been to. It was like 15-minute PhD presentations, one after another in Spanish. I didn't understand a thing, but I got to meet everyone and a lot of the partners that we work with now, both for our Chiapas adventures and for our Nama adventures, came out of that time that we first came down. Kim, you want to take over from here?
Yeah, sure. Well, I just wanted to give everybody a little update on like Kim and Zach and Chiapas. We have been there since 2022. And since 2022, we did get to meet a lot of amazing partners. One of them is Fungaria, who's going to be present on our trip. They host Moni Fest, which I presented mushroom dyeing at this last summer. Zach's presented on mushroom bitters and other things. We also participated in Yui Fest, which is the festival in San Cristobal as well, both presenting on mushroom dyeing as well as culinary uses of mushrooms. So we've been really excited to get involved in the community here, and we'll also be doing workshops with the community leading up to Yui Fest this July to get people more interested in all the ways we can use mushrooms in the world.
Which is great. That segues us into actually talking about this trip specifically and giving a little more in-depth of what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to let Kim drive the train on this one, and you just tell me when to flip the slides. And I just wanted to point out this image is actually from the restaurant that's in the hotel we're staying at, which
Wow.
is an award-winning restaurant. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking about MyColores. That's going to be happening from October 11th through the 19th this year in San Cristobal de las Casas. What I am most excited about with our MyColores experiences is having my mentor and teacher, Alissa Allen, join us. Alissa has been coming with us for 4 years now to Mexico and sharing her deep knowledge of mushrooms. I'm going to let her give a little bit of a talk about more about herself and her experience with us, what she's looking forward to, and then I'll talk more about what we're going to do on our days.
Thanks so much, Kim. It is such a pleasure to be invited and to experience these trips to Mexico. Getting into like forests that are different yet somehow familiar, places I've never been that remind me of all the places I've ever been, from a biological standpoint. Like you see mushrooms that you can find in just different mushrooms, but relatives of the mushrooms that you can find in all the different habitats, from the eastern species to the west coast species. And of course, they probably all need their own names because they're probably all related but slightly different. And then exploring the colors that you can get from those, and spending time in the community, spending time with the artisans, exploring new foods and places. And I'm just really looking forward to Chiapas and seeing the biodiversity that we'll find there.
Awesome.
I'm going to toot your horn a little bit. Alyssa's been doing this for over 20 years. Like she's developed new techniques for extraction that we didn't know about before. She has been my mentor for the last several years. She's been coming, and she's the founder of the Mushroom and Lichen Dyers United group on Facebook, which has a lot of members, and it's really become a huge resource, a really community-based resource for us all to learn from each other, share what we're doing, and bring that back. So in addition to her excitement for Mexico, I do want to just like thank you, Alissa, for being like a leader in this space and a real teacher. And it's a lot of effort to manage a large community like that, and we really appreciate it.
Mhm.
It's really important to me to have mushroom dyeing be community based and to teach each other and to be generous with our knowledge and sharing, because it's a fairly new art and science, and we've got a long ways to go before we fully understand what is going on in the dye pots and what's going on in the fungus itself. And so I'm just really excited to continue that and spreading that experience and gathering more folks who are doing the experiments. So thank you, Kim.
I'm very excited. Well, that's a great segue for me to talk more about what we're going to do during our time together. So we're going to be in San Cristobal de las Casas for a full week, 8 nights, I believe. And the beginning of our trip, we're going to kick off with an opening dinner, but then the first 3 days are going to be really foray focused, because we're really focused on gathering the mushrooms that we're going to then use in our dye days following that. So we're going to go to 3 different parks on our first 3 days. Montatique, which is a really lovely foray. It's not, there's no steep inclines. It's just a kind of rolling foray along the mountain in which we found some really great dyers, including lobster mushrooms and romaria and other things.
Ton of fellow.
Uh,
Ton of fellow.
and well, yeah.
Mm.
And then in Quintro is another park nearby that's really beautiful. It's also got a permaculture garden there. It's a beautiful space, and they're tooth mushrooms and as well as some quartz that have been like pretty amazing. So in Quintro is a great place to forage, and then Huitepec, which is another one. So we're going to be going to kind of three separate parks surrounding San Cristobal. We'll have breakfast at the hotel in the morning and then go for a foray, have lunch, and then should be free every day around 4 because we realized in a place like San Cristobal that folks really want to have a little time and space to explore. So besides our opening and closing dinner, we're going to free everybody up. But those 3 days are going to be our really great days to learn mushrooms and collect for our dye days. We'll also, if we find edibles, collect them as well, and we'll have our Fungaria team there. We're going to be staying at Hotel Sombra del Agua, which is in the heart of San Cristobal. It's just 1 block off one of the walking streets. It's a beautiful hotel that's one of the oldest in San Cristobal. And it's just beautifully appointed. The team takes really good care of everybody. They'll be on a WhatsApp if you need anything. And been really love working with them. And it's just steps away from the Centro and
Yeah, and we'll
walking
be
street.
picked up there for our forays. We'll leave for our walking tour from there. Breakfast is included, so you can kind of come down at your leisure. It opens pretty early compared to when we leave. So you can have a whole leisurely morning at the hotel, enjoy breakfast, have some coffee, don't worry about anything. And like Kim said, it is like 2 blocks from the Zocalo. It is dead center in the middle of town. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to give people the nights off, just because there is so much to explore. I mean, you could go to a different ramen restaurant every free night you have and not get to all of them. But I know you're going for tacos, but um, well, you've met
Great.
us at this point.
Yeah, so
Um,
you've met me. So my name's Kim. This is Zach, Alyssa. We've been doing this for 4 years now, and really enjoy like creating this experience. I've got my maestra. I've been teaching, and then Zach is a great mushroom hunter, so he's a real asset uh, in the field as well. Just to spotlight on some more of our activities, we're going to be working with Fungaria, which is a local community-based organization here. They lead community forays as well as help host local mushroom festivals. They're also making a documentary about mushroom foraging in the lowlands of Tuxtla, which is where you would fly in. So they're a really great team, and so they take us on our forays, and they also help us better understand the mushrooms we're collecting. So we will have either ID tables or ID blankets at different times, depending on how the mushrooms are doing. You can only hold on to them for so long. But we'll have an ID table too, so that you're going to see everything that we collect, not just dyers. We'll get ID'd and we'll have talks about them. So you really will learn more about just the whole fungal scene here.
mhm.
In color and culture. So part of this week is also going to be understanding more about the culture and the life of San Cristobal. So after actually, Zach, you're right. Okay, so our first day actually is a walking tour of San Cristobal. And then we'll start our forays. I jumped ahead on my itinerary. So we have an amazing local guide. His name is Roberto, and he has been raised here. His uncle was actually Samuel Tatique, who was one of the archbishops here during the Zapatista movement and was a huge advocate for the indigenous. Roberto is a partner of mine that I work with during my textile tours, and he is an incredible like resource and window into the world of San Cristobal and its surrounding areas. So on our first day, we're going to actually explore San Cristobal with a walking tour with him. So you get a really good idea of the city that you're going to be able to explore in your free time. We'll go to the Santo Domingo Artisan Market on that day. So you'll get a lay of the land there. You'll definitely want to go back. And we'll also go to the Textile Museum of San Cristobal, where you get to see how unique and different the Mayan textiles are, especially if you've ever been to Oaxaca. It's a very different thing and very cool to see. And then our last day of the trip, we'll actually get to visit, will be Market Day for Zina, Cantan, and Chamula. So we're going to go and visit the markets in Zina, Cantan, and Chamula, as well as the church, which is a really interesting place. The Chamulans actually kicked their priest out of their community in the 70s and began practicing their own to practice their own spiritual practices within the church. Those involve Posh, which is the local spirit, Coca-Cola, candles. The entire floor is covered in pine needles. It's a really viscerally different place that you kind of just get an idea of. And so that'll be one of the days at the end of our time together, is to just kind of get to spend some time in these communities and see how they live and function. So come adventure in Chiapas with us. This is just a high level sort of overview of sort of what we're going to be doing. We're going to have opening, closing dinners at some really amazing places. Stay in a beautiful town in a great hotel. Get to go foraging for 3 days in some great parks close by. So there's not going to be excessive driving in windy mountains. We'll have like a 20-minute drive to some nice forays with some amazing local partners. We're going to have some awesome dye days with Alissa and get to learn all about the mushrooms that can make color. We're also, I didn't get to mention, this year we're going to play with a couple different weights of wool. And we're also going to have the opportunity for folks to bring something that they would like to dye, which will provide the weights and other instructions. I'll also be doing a bit of an embroidery workshop for anybody as an optional sort of craft, if anybody wants to learn some more ways to play with their mushroom fiber. And we'll do some village visits as well as a walking tour of San Cristobal. And you'll leave with a nice pile of fiber to get to go home and play with. So that's kind of my shtick, and I'm sticking to it.
A couple folks that came last year to the MyColores in Oaxaca. I have to say that is the best group of people we've ever had assembled. Elizabeth was with us. And yeah, it was amazing, and we're looking forward to recreating that. I think just the what happens around artisanship and exchange and learning, and because they're new mushrooms, everyone's learning, right? Even Alissa is learning. We're all learning what these mushrooms around here do. So it's just such a cool way to bring people together. For those of you who would like to come with us, we have a bit of a steps. The first thing is to fill out an application, which you can find on our website, linked on the page. On that application, you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, what your experiences with dyeing, what your experiences with mushrooms, hiking, etc. And then you'll indicate if you want to have a call with me and with Kim, and we will respond promptly when we see that. And if you don't want to have a call, we'll send you a payment link. And through this Saturday, we are actually offering $200 off for our early bird special. That's been running since January 1st. That happens every single year. We have an early bird for those who sign up throughout the year that ends at the end of December. And then our early bird special starts from January 1st until February 14th. So if you want to save $200, make sure you get this done quickly. And I'll be on the email waiting for y'all. So yeah, what's that?
Yeah, that was just saying, my last slide is my opening slide.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions or comments, we're here for that. Elizabeth, Dean, you got anything for me? No, we're good.
All right.
Alyssa, do you have any questions? Elizabeth?
I am so looking forward to this trip. It's
great.
Yeah.
You said no, my windy mountain roads. I'm like, no, I did so good on the windy mountain roads, but
You were standing up in the back of a pickup truck going
I
down
know.
the mighty mountain road. That was better than good. That was like letting it all hang out. That was awesome, man.
All right, Elizabeth?
if I can go. I'm trying to figure out my schedule for this year, but yeah, if anybody sees this call, I went to Oaxaca last year, and it was an amazing trip. Yeah, I'd love to explore a new part of Mexico with you guys.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
Last year, but there's a few more colors on the color wheel, so we find some more red.
Yeah, I'm drooling over those mushroom pictures that you shared. So exciting.
Yeah.
So are you looking at about the same size group or a larger?
Yeah, we cap our groups between 8 and 12. And that's because we'd like to fit all in one van. It just is so much nicer. We can all travel together, and talk about what we did on the way in and the way out. So we really do. We keep our groups small for that reason, except for our NAMA event, which is up to 60 people all told. So you want to wrap it up? Take us out, honey.
Well, if we don't have any other questions, thank you all for joining us tonight. And I know we have several folks who have requested the recording. So if you do need anything, please send us an email. We're always happy to answer questions. Also, like if you're really interested, definitely apply. We fill trips based on the order in which we receive applications. So it at least puts you in like a line if you do take some time to be on our radar. And we're really excited, Alissa, to join you. Dean, you're already in. Elizabeth, I hope you can make it. For anybody else on the call, like that sees this, we really look forward to creating a rainbow of color with y'all in San Cristobal this October.
Yeah.
Excited.
Great.
All right. Well, yeah, like Kim said, reach out if you have any questions about this and get your application in, and we'll be seeing you one-on-one.
Hasta luego.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh.
And we did it in time for Dean's call.